So, you want to be a dungeon master.
So you want to be a dungeon master.
So you want to be a dungeon.
So you want to be a dungeon master.
So, you want to be a dungeon master.
That's great. We're here to help. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Justin. This week, we're going to be talking about how to teach new players. As dungeon masters, we want people to play the game with us. Naturally, you're going to run into players with huge variations in their experience level, but that's okay. This episode is going to focus on the ones who don't know the game, haven't played much or at all, and might not even have dice of their own. Shudder the thought. And maybe you've been elected DM because your friends want to try out D&D. Well, this episode is going to go over all the basics for teaching players how to play the game. Let's get into it. But first, Taylor, if you could go back in time, tell your non-D&D playing self one piece of D&D related advice, what would it be?
I feel like that's such a waste if I could go back. It has to be D&D
That's why
related.
I had to keep writing D&D. Because I was like, let's be honest, it's going to be either a way to make money, a way to avoid all of this, a way to prevent atrocities happening today.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
Save Harambe at all costs.
That's what it's all about. Everything can be traced back.
Okay. D&D related advice. The adventure doesn't have to be fully fleshed out for you guys to play a session.
That's a good one.
That's kind of why my stories have fallen apart in the past, is I get it too in my head of my own writing. And then it's like, oh no, I'm not ready this week. XYZ has happened. I haven't had a chance to write anything. We'll postpone it. And then the postponing becomes an indefinite thing. And then the game just disappears.
Oof. The postpone. Postpone is a deadly trap.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a deadly trap. Yeah, I feel similarly about that as well. I also, kind of branching off of that, related but different, is don't take yourself too seriously. Yeah. Hey, past Justin, chill out, dude. It's not that big of a deal. What are you, Mark Mercer? Get the heck out of here with that shit, dude. You're fine. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and that translates to a million different mini things of like, hey, you put a lot of time into world building this thing and the players didn't really care. It's okay. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you did a bad job or anything. It's just like it didn't hit that particular group. If you try that too with a different table, they'll do it differently. You know, like running the same sort of written campaign or like encounter even with different groups and different tables, I think has been so eye-opening of being like, oh, dang, I didn't even think of that. I've done this 6 times already. And people continue to amaze me. There's so much out there. Yeah. Taylor, when's the last time you had a new player? I was thinking about it today as I was writing this.
3 years ago, I had a whole table of new players. Like when I started playing D&D, I was the DM and my entire table had never played 5th edition, and I had 6 people at the table.
And here, I have a series of questions. A, did you decide that you were going to be the DM, or B, did others decide that for you?
It was, why do you think that was the way? So it was definitely talking with everybody and being like, hey, I want to play D&D. And everybody else is like, oh, we'd love to play D&D. Yeah, let's play D&D. And then it becomes a matter of, okay, who's going to be the DM? Crickets. All crickets across the board. And it's like, all right, well, I guess I'll do it then. Hey, new 5th edition just came out. Does anybody know anything about 5th edition? Seen an actual play? Anything?
Anyone know anything?
Nope. Cool. All right. But luckily, a large I think 3 of the 6 were at my 3.5 table.
Oh, okay.
So they had some D&D experience, just not 5th edition experience. So there was a lot of
that's kind
of breaking old habits, but that is a factor. Like other TTRPG experience definitely plays plays a role. If for just the simple reason of explaining classes and species and backgrounds and stuff like that, because they kind of they know that fantasy setting. But
not to mention just like the very basics of like having stats, hit points, armor class, like all those really basic TTRPG things. It's the same when you have players who come from even like certain kinds of video games. It's like, all right, that's a little bit of a leg up. Or if you have people who come in with like improv or theater experience, it's like, okay, that's a little bit of a leg up. There's so many other fields of hobbies or careers or passions or arts, whatever, that can aid the new player in ways that are not tabletop role-playing games. But having experience in other tabletop role-playing games also freaking huge. Even if you've like only ever played, I don't know, Warhammer, it's still a little bit better than nothing.
You're still rolling dice to hit. You're still doing all the same stuff.
Yeah. There's some kind of connection. Exactly.
Yeah.
So getting into it, I've had new players pretty recently. I've had people, new players with different TTRPGs. Like I got to both. It was really fun because I was playing with people who had never played Kids on Bikes, and I had never played Kids on Bikes, but I was running the game. So I took it to another level of like, I kind of wanted to be the guinea pig and also a little bit of cockiness of being like, not only have I never played this game, but I'm gonna run it.
Right.
Like, hell yes. And so that is going to be really interesting to see how that continues to grow with other TTRPGs. But talking about new players, I right off the bat wanted to just bring up the very basic idea of, I think new players are amazing. I love having new players at my table. I think it's so much fun. It's so interesting. Things get so crazy. But just to be totally transparent with our audience, there are pros and cons. I think it's mostly pros, but I thought it would be, truthful to at least go over it before we really get into how to help new players from the Dungeon Master position. And so get the cons out of the way. We'll just bang them out really quickly, get them out of the way. And feel free to add any if I missed any. But the first one, most obvious one, you're going to have to stop and discuss rules more often. They don't know the rules.
Yeah.
They don't know how to play the game yet. So naturally, there's going to be more times where you have to kind of stop play and be like, hey, let's go over this particular rule, or hey, you're doing that incorrectly, and here's how that rule works, or just having players interrupt play to be like asking questions.
Oh, actually, that's something that would normally be on your character sheet. If it's not there, then you don't have it. You can't do it, type of deal.
Exactly. When players are finding out that they don't have bonus actions, it's a heartbreaking moment for D&D.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of D&D suffers when not every person at the table has a bonus action, but then other people have lots of bonus action stuff. That is a huge flaw in D&D design in my head. As somebody who's witnessed that conversation of being like, and any bonus actions, and having the wizard every time be like, nope, I don't think so. Can I hide? Only the rogue? Okay. Well, nothing.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm so sorry, dude. But so that's a thing. And it depending on how much that table cares about like immersion, I suppose it would break immersion a little bit more, because you have to get a little bit more metagamey and talking about the rules and being above board.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of think that's okay. I think immersion is a little overrated, actually. I think that a lot of people put it way higher on the priority list than maybe it should be compared to other things. But that's just my take.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is a place for full immersion, and that honestly should be reserved almost for actual plays. Like,
I agree.
In all, I think home games, there's no reason to take your home games so seriously.
I totally agree.
You're doing this for fun in your off time. You're not getting paid. You're not trying to make content. None of that. It's just we're sitting around a table.
Have fun. Yeah. I mean, teach their own. If that's fun for you, then by all means. But anyway, new players might be quiet or reserved. They're not very engaging. But all of these things are kind of like hiccups in the beginning. It doesn't necessarily mean that player is going to be like that forever. It's just, you have to get over some growing pains. That's normal. It's not that big of a deal, but I thought it was worth mentioning. And then when this person starts to get into the game and stuff, you just might find out that you have different play styles. Or maybe that person just has, after playing for a little bit, realizes, I don't like this.
Right.
That's something you might have to encounter. And that, not to mention like problem players and stuff like that, like people who, or whatever, but like that's just like a reality. You don't know. Somebody is new to the game. They don't know what they like about D&D or what they're going to be really invested in. People will surprise themselves. They'll surprise you. Just important to keep an open eye and keep an ear out for, I don't know, all of that.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to the quiet and reserved bit, just to kind of touch on it for a second, it might take a few sessions for them to get in. I mean, I have one character who, even though they had, they're almost at like a god mode at this point, not god mode, but like a lot of magic items, a lot of, I was doing everything I could to get them engaged in the story, and they would pop up, do some game breaking shit, and then it would be 2 sessions before they talked again.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. You definitely run into players like that.
And like it is just something you have to be aware of. I didn't not want them at the table for it, but it is just kind of something that, unless you're doing something directly related to their character, they might not be as engaged in the story.
Yep. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah,
let's get into those pros.
Just change. Let's get into the freaking pros. Number 1, hey, you're introducing a new person to a hobby that you like. Heck yeah. More people.
Yeah.
More the merrier. Building a community, found family, all of it. We love it. Or if this is your first time, like Taylor was mentioning, of being the DM and not knowing the game, and also the players not knowing the game, and everyone's getting into it together. Hey, that's fun too. You're creating a new shared interest. Lovely. We love to see it. Not to mention, having more people playing the game means that there's more points of view. There's more backgrounds and experiences and different ways to add into this melting pot of TTRPG storytelling styles. And like, what an awesome fucking thing.
Yeah. And you'll see the ideas snowball between characters. They'll get more. Okay, one person decides to do this minimally wild thing, and then the next player is like, well, you could do that, but I could also add on this shenanigan to that. And then it all kind of bubbles down the line of everybody piling onto each other. And now you've got a fake duck distracting guards while you run upstairs to steal some kind of item.
I wasn't ready for this to become a true story.
Oh, man. And like the other thing that you don't necessarily have to worry about, and I don't say worry about like it's like, oh, this is a bad thing, but your players aren't going to be trying to min-max you all to death. They're not, they don't know all the ins and outs, so they're not going to try to loophole you into some backdoor god shit.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're not bogged down by optimization. That also translates in many different ways, because it's like, you don't have to worry about that, of the adversarial relationship that can sometimes grow, but also like it means that the players can be more creative when it comes to character creation, right? They're more likely to make those unoptimized builds that are very, very fun though and interesting.
Right.
And it's what the player wants to play without you having, or without having to be like, well, I have to play this and make it this way with this multi-class and use this item because that's the most optimal. And it's like, man, break free of those chains, brothers and sisters and everyone in between and outside of, because what is happening? We don't need to do it that way. You can, but you don't have to. And then like, I also think new players are unburdened with the kind of trends or habits that parts of the D&D community will adopt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like little things here and there of just like, whether it's like a bad habit or like a red flag player kind of thing or whatever they're called in social media circles, but like, they just come in fresh. Right? Like if they're going to play a bard, maybe they don't know about the whole bards have to seduce every single thing, which is so boring. I've never once played a bard that way. And I've had more fun, I guarantee.
Yeah.
But I love new players.
Yeah.
They're so fun. They're so open-minded. They're taking chances. They're swinging for the fences. They're doing dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like there's so many little
Yeah.
things that like an experienced player would shy away from because they're like, well, I know the rules, so I have a better idea of how the DM is going to interpret what I'm about to say, or like I know what the consequences of this will be or whatever. But like a new player is going to be like, oh, the guard's giving me slack. Well, guess what? Freaking I cast suggestion on his ass right off the gate, and you're like, you're in public. Oh, okay. Oh shit, okay. Things are getting serious. And I like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Other new player good things. I mean, I feel like we've touched on a lot of them.
We've done most of them. I think
yeah,
we kind of got
fun.
them. I think the only other thing is like as a dungeon master, as a storyteller, as a world builder, whatever, like anything that you're doing for this type of hobby, when you have new players, it is a challenge. It's a different type of challenge. It explores your skills of improv and coming up with things on the fly, of mediating for rules and how to handle when people are going against the rules and how to explain rules. It's practice. It's like a really good hyperbolic chamber Goku style of like, I'm going to get way better explaining rules and myself understanding the rules. You will come to understand the game better because you're teaching the game. You're just,
exactly. Yeah. I was just about to say that. Yeah. I mean, this is a lot of like just a general life skill of once you know something well enough to teach it, you inherently learn it better. Like there's a point in your growth of knowledge that once you hit it, you already kind of know everything that you've been taught. And now as you're teaching it, your knowledge expands more.
Yeah.
I've had that come across with, martial arts, working on cars, do pretty much every skill that I've ever done. I've immediately gotten better at my job after I've taken somebody and been like, here, this is how it works.
Yeah. I remember I did tutoring when I lived in Long Island. I did tutoring for a while. I would drive to people's houses. I was tutoring kids who were either suspended or like on medical leave for extended periods of time. So they were like missing weeks and weeks of school or something. So go to their house and tutor. It was like, dang, I got to relearn algebra and shit so I can teach it. Oh no. Being like, all right, so X is like, just being like, man. And talking about new players, there's an important note. Hey, not all games are designed for new players, and that's okay too. If you're planning on jumping into a multi-year campaign that starts at level 15, maybe having someone brand new to TTRPGs altogether isn't the move, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that leads us into our next little question is, what games are good for new players?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're brand new, level 1 to 3, like start there. You know, I think starting them with a subclass is not necessarily a bad idea, especially if you have people that kind of have an idea of what their character's already going to be. I think narratively, level 1 to 3 is almost all exactly the same. Like it's pretty much the exact same stuff.
I agree. I do like giving people a subclass. I think that it's an important thing. I think it depends on how much experience they have in like outside of TTRPGs, like having people who just play video games a lot or even just like board games, like that's a little bit of a leg up. So maybe I do give them a subclass. And I don't think a subclass adds that much more, but it can lead to analysis paralysis or like choice paralysis where you're giving them too many things to choose between.
Right.
So that can be a little much. As somebody who loves TTRPGs and has to make characters in Pathfinder every once in a while, that shit is real. There's too much options.
There's too much to do in Pathfinder.
There's too much. It's a good thing and a bad thing. That's just But so yeah, I agree. So levels 1 through 3, I would say 5 the absolute most, and that's if they have like they have been playing other TTRPGs and they're just new to D&D. That a little different. Because just like level 5 is nice sometimes for new players because you get 2 attacks at most of the things, so that's really nice because it can just be a challenge to explain to players of like, okay, your turn's over and you didn't really do anything. You missed on your one attack.
Right.
And now you have to wait 20 minutes until your turn again. And it's like, that is hard to get into. Unless you're invested and the story is good and maybe you're playing a little music. There's ways to counteract that. But other things include just like short one shots, 2 or 3 shots, just like really short contained things.
Right.
Adventures or whatever, stories that have an ending and have the ending in sight. You already know that it's going to end in X number of sessions. That's really nice. Also, I included this one just because I do think that it is helpful. I think you could also play depending on the group, you could also play a simpler tabletop role-playing game in preparation for D&D.
Yeah.
Just D&D to get people used to rolling dice and role-playing and all of the other little tiny parts.
Yeah. But, yeah, definitely. And D&D is one of those ones where it's very in-depth. It's from character creation. It's kind of complex. I think sticking to some kind of a written module or like a pre-planned this is one adventure. If it goes well, we can continue. Like I've done that. That's what I did with the table that I put together was, okay, well, we're going to play for a couple of sessions. If it turns into a whole campaign, it turns into a whole campaign. But I got this module on dmsguild.com. We're going to run this and see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Written modules is a really good idea because it has a middle, beginning, or I'm saying them out of order, which is insane. Beginning, middle, and end. And that's really nice and handy. And to that same effect, I think railroading is a great idea. And let's be clear, because I think that it's very important to be upfront and open about the definitions of certain terms in the TTRPG space, because people will argue about railroading all the time. When we say railroading, we mean, yes, the players are going to go from A to B. That is true. But how they get there is up to them. What they do when they get there is up to them, and all of those other things. There's still agency. There's still choice.
Yeah.
However, those choices are all aligned within the guidelines of your track that you are railroading the players on.
They reach a fork in the road, right and left go to the same place.
Something along those lines. Yeah. Like where it's just like, oh, I don't want to talk to the shadowy figure in the corner who has the quest, to give. I want to talk to the goony little weirdo dancing on the bar. Well, now the goony little weirdo has the quest. Like it's not that big of a deal, like you can still honor their choices and still provide it. And now now you as the DM have this fun opportunity of like, what does anything change because the weirdo is giving the quest as opposed to the shadowy Aragorn figure? Maybe it's a little zanier now. I don't know. So it's all good. Now let's get into first impressions, because first impressions are everything. We know that. And not only, depending on your situation, you might be introducing yourself as a person, as a dungeon master, but for most of us, you're introducing the game to the players. Right. That can be a lot. That can feel like a huge responsibility, like it's a lot of pressure on you of whether or not they have a good time. And I'm here to say it's not. Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. It's not all on you. And here are some other things to remember, if I may. Sure. Number one, not every TTRPG is for everybody. There are people who hate D&D. And while I don't really understand that, we don't really get that to a huge degree, hey, it's your personal opinion. I mean, unless you're directing that hate towards the company that it's chained to, that I understand. But like, people hate the system, and I'm like, interesting. That's interesting to me. But it is what it is. The second thing, the dungeon master is not the sole person responsible for if the game is fun and if the new players have a good time.
That's a big one.
You have a lot of responsibilities as a dungeon master, but the idea that it is all of your responsibility, like only the dungeon master is the deciding factor of whether or not the game is fun or that everyone's having a good time or that all the players just get to be jerks, and it's like, well, it's up to the like, no, guys, you all presumably adults who are playing this game to have a good time and to tell a story and whatever. It's like everybody has a responsibility to like be a good listener, to be engaged, to like care about it, pay attention, like basic human decency. And so some of it is outside of the DM's control, and that's just natural. Everyone is responsible for themselves. You don't cease being a adult functioning member of society when you sit down at the D&D table, like just because your character's chaotic. Like, come on. Like, gosh. Not to mention other players. If you're a player at the game and you're the like experienced player, maybe you're the DM who finally this is your chance to be a player, whatever it may be. It's also on you to make sure the new player has a good time. Help them out.
Yeah.
Sit next to them. Like, help them with their character sheet, point on their character sheet where they're doing the skill checks. Like, it's, you
involve
can be
them
so
in your
helpful.
Scenes, reach out to them in the role play moments. That's huge.
Hey, Ragnar, what do you think about this? Yeah, it's so helpful.
Exactly.
That's okay. Really, really good. That was number 2. And then last but not least, number 3, TTRPGs also have their own responsibility to be accommodating to both new and experienced players. Sometimes it's on them. There are some games that just don't do a good job of explaining how the game works. Things are complicated. The character sheets are disorganized. I'm not naming names here because I genuinely don't have one in mind. But like, it is on the tabletop game itself a little bit.
Yeah.
So first impressions, but also understand that it's not all on you. Sometimes you have to take that serenity prayer quote thing and into heart, and where it's just like, some things you can't change, that's okay, but here are some things you can change. And the first thing I included, I went kind of in depth with, is session 0.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge chance to talk about the game. I think it's big when you're teaching new players. The reason I went in this direction and I talked so much about session 0 is because I think it's just so much nicer to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to teaching people things and like establishing communication and expectations and how this is going to work and stuff. It's like better to hit that in the jump than then constantly through the game be like, oh, actually that's not how this works. Being like, hey, this is how it's going to work. Saying that beforehand, I think is just better. But
yeah, definitely. And I think when dealing with new players, it's okay to put session 0 and session 1 together. Just
1,000,000%.
Make space. Definitely you have to make space at the top to go over all of this stuff. Go over the character creation, go over how the table works, your weird house rules that you have, everything involving that. But then also, not everybody's going to want to show up just to do character creation and then go home and then come back for another session. But I would definitely set aside at least an hour or so at the beginning to be like, okay, this is the expectations for the table.
Yeah. And it's going to vary depending on your table. Like, is it all new players? How new are we talking? Have they played games before? Have they, like everything we've already said? Do they have improv experience? Like, whatever. There's a lot that you could cut out or breeze through if people come in with certain like experiences and skills. But if you're going brand spanking new players, this is how I handle it. At least I can only speak from personal experience, but like the first thing I want to talk about is telling the players what to expect at session 0.
Yeah.
Beforehand. So before the session 0 even happens, being like, here's what a session 0 is, here's what to expect. Because if you're planning on having a little mini combat, wrapping session 0 and 1 into 1, that's something you can let them know. Hey, bring your dice, bring your character sheets. We're going to be doing it all there that day. Or if you're not doing it and you are separating session 1 and 0, then let them know, heads up, we're not going to be playing our characters. We're just going to be making our characters. Like, let them know, because it would suck to go in being like, I can't wait to roll dice. And then you don't roll dice except for a hit dice. Like, that would suck. So you're just letting them know what to expect. That's huge. I like to spend a little bit of time on introductions, icebreakers, getting people comfortable before deep diving into things. That's like 5 minutes, just like really quick, as opposed to being like, all right, everyone's here. Get out your character sheets. Like you know what I mean? Just like a little bit of a transition into things. I think that's important. I then like to, because it influences character creation, and I think it can help players get more invested in the story and the setting and stuff. I like to do setting really quickly. So introducing the setting, the vibes, the tone of the campaign, where the players are going to be from, or like the world, all of that kind of stuff. Hey, this story takes place in Sphinx City. It's a magical and modern metropolis. It's kind of like Manhattan. There's a bunch of different neighborhoods, whatever it may be, right? Capitalism is the BBG, so like that's a thing, and whatever, right? I also think this might be a good time to talk about safety tools for brand new people. We always use like a checklist thing that's just like a Google form that we can send to everybody. They can fill out privately and send to us. It's very, very helpful to have that on file. And then I get into character creation. Now, I like to do character creation with new players, class, species, background. Do you have a preference, Taylor?
No. I start with class and then I do the exact same. There's the rare occasion where I will start with the background, but that's only because I have a narrative. That's a me thing. That's not something that I would do with a new player. With a new player, absolutely, we're picking class first. What do you want to be doing in combat is basically the question that I would ask. Is like, do you want to be casting spells? Do you want to be up in the front line in the mix, smashing stuff with a big hammer or a sword or something? Do you want to be a support person who's making sure that all your allies are, up and healthy and all of that stuff? Like, what do you expect your role to be in the thing? And then we'll pick a class from there and then move on to what species. There are definitely species that lend themselves better to other classes, like specific classes, like a barbarian, like a Loxodon barbarian would be rad as hell. Just a big elephant dude on the front line smashing shit.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think class is huge. I usually do a really brief description of each class, because you assume that they don't know what a cleric really is. Maybe they've heard of they might think clerical and they're like, hey, you're a bookkeeper, and it's like, not really. So I usually run through the fastest, like brief as hell. I'm not going into depth. I'm not, and then divine smite. Paladin, no. You're a half caster. You can do martial stuff. You can do spell casting stuff. Usually you have like a really powerful oath, and that's where you get your magic from. Clerics, you get your magic from a deity. Druids, nature. Wizards, books. Bards, performance. You guys get it. Fighters fight. Right. Monks are mostly martial arts and like that kind of vibe. You get like key points or energy, focus points, whatever the hell.
Focus points.
And then going through all of that like very quick. Then we get into species, same thing, really brief. A tiefling is like this, an Aasimar is like this, an elf, orc. You guys kind of know those from popular culture. We'll figure it out along the way. Background, outside of adventuring or being a hero, what does your character do? Like, what's their job or their hobby or their upbringing or something like that?
Usual question is, what was your character doing before they started adventuring?
Yeah, absolutely. And then as we're doing all of this, we're ideally building the characters like physically along the way. You know what I mean? Like whether that's paper and pen, printed out character sheets, digital ones, something to keep track of it all. And like in a perfect world, we're all doing it kind of the same way, just to keep everything uniform and so that we can all be on the same page.
Right.
It depends on accessibility. Like D&D Beyond, does everyone have that? Does the Dungeon Master have the ability to share all of the things? You know what I mean? Like little things like that is like, if you only have one player doing D&D Beyond, but the Dungeon Master is not using, I've run into this a million times as somebody who doesn't pay for D&D Beyond is unless you're in the group and you have the ability to share stuff, then it's like, people are like, okay, well, I want to use this thing, but it's saying that spell, I have to pay $20 to get the book that spell's from. And I'm like, that's right, because I sent you the Wikidot thing because it's free. but it's not going to add it to your character sheet. I have to teach you how to homebrew a spell. Like it's just a lot of stuff. And if I'm not familiar with D&D Beyond, then it's like, I don't even know what buttons to click to get to homebrew a spell. I can if I had it in front of me, I could bang it out, but so it's a whole thing. But then after we've decided those 3 huge things, class, species, background, I'm going to do really brief character development. When was the first time your barbarian tiefling felt that rage, do you think? Or how often do you think your warlock gnome speaks with their patron? Or what's your motivation for being an adventurer? Why are you adventuring? And I put that one in red on the outline because it's really important.
Yeah, because that's how you're going to keep your party motivations going. For sure.
You want to keep them going. You want them to be hooked. And in order to hook them, you need to know what hooks that character. For some, it's greed. For some, it's revenge. For some, it's seeking answers, whatever it may be. But you need to know. There's also questions for the group. How long have you guys been adventuring together? What was a mission that you guys did recently where things almost went bad, but then they, last minute went well? Or another very important question. Why are you guys an adventuring group in the first place? What is keeping you all together? And that's another kind of basic idea of just, especially for new players. Again, this is new players, right? So this is like, hey, we don't want there to be a ton of inter-party conflict. You guys are just cool. Everyone already knows each other. You're in a group. Why are you guys in the group? Like, what do you get out of it, or something? Yeah. Then I'm going to get into numbers and stats and the rigmarole, So I'm going to explain the 6 main stats. I'm going to go through the tomato bullshit thing. Strength is crushing a tomato. Dexterity is throwing a tomato. That kind of stuff. Saving throws, skills, attack rolls, spell save and spell attack rolls. Give me 1 second. Son of a bitch. I hate that dog. Okay. Spell save, spell attack, proficiency bonus and proficiencies, AC, hit points, speed, all the basic number stuff that's on like the first page of your character sheet. And it's very brief, right? Like I'm going to describe animal handling is like this, like very so brief. I'm not going to go into like all of the things you can do with animal handling. It's just like elevator pitch. We're breezing through it. Yeah. And we're all looking at the character sheets together so we can see on our character sheet where it is as we're going over it. You know what I mean? Because you really do learn so many rules by making a character. Right. And filling out where the numbers go. There's so much you learn about the mechanics of the game through that. And that's true for other TTRPGs too. Anytime I'm asked to do an actual play for another system, as soon as I look at the character sheet and I'm like, all right, let me just build my character. Then you build your character out. And then, of course, there's, depending on the game, there might be like questions of like, what can I do on my turn, like action wise? And so there, you have to look at a different document for that. But pretty much you learn so much from character creation.
Absolutely.
And then finally, I'll ask any questions so far, address any questions that the new players might have. If time, then a mini RP combat little scene, like putting a parts of session 1 or maybe its own designated pre-session 1 little moment. In a perfect world, I like to do that. But technically, there are times when I genuinely put so much more time into explaining all of the rules and stuff. Not to mention I'm a bit of a rambler, as this episode is proving. That like sometimes it goes long and then it's like, all right, maybe we do a round of combat, but like that's it.
We simply must move on.
We simply must move on. And then I set expectations. So I just let the players know as we're wrapping up session 0, we're going to learn as we go. We're not going to know all the rules right off the bat. That's actually fine. Who cares? Because some of the rules are so hyper specific where we may not even go over them in an entire campaign.
Right.
Who knows? If you don't know a rule, you're confused at any point, please don't hesitate to ask. Somebody else probably has that same question. How else will we learn? Number 3, as a DM, if there's an ambiguity in ruling, I'll be the one to make the final call, but I will almost always do so in the pursuit of having the game be fun for everyone. So even if I rule against you, it's genuinely for your best interest, I promise. I'm only saying that because it's true for the record. If for some reason you're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart for the sake of the game being good, don't say that. And also, why are you not doing that? But I don't know. And then last but not least, communication is key. Let's keep in touch. Let's talk about things. If there's a problem with the game, problem with how your character is working, questions about mechanics, whatever it may be, aspirations for your character going forward, then get in touch with me. And so I will usually offer my Discord or some way to communicate with that new player so that there's an open line of dialogue. So you can offer your email, your cell phone if you're comfortable with that, or depending on the relationship and what the deal is, But that's how I would handle session 0 with brand new players. And for the record, this would be if the whole table was new.
Yeah.
I think you could tell, because it's like, I wouldn't necessarily. Could you imagine if you already knew all of this stuff and you were there and you're like, and saving throws? Okay. And it's like very basic stuff. And now it's game time. The moment has come. We've tried our best to be proactive, but it's the big night. Coffee is brewed, water is chilled, and a third carbonated beverage is nearby. Now what?
I thought you were going to pull Fresca out on me.
I looked around my desk. I don't have a Fresca currently.
I mean, that would have ended the episode. It would have been done. I mean, we're at 40-something minutes, so...
Yeah, it's a little
shorter one. We'll get the rest of this next time. No. All right. So, character sheets. That's step 1. Game night. Character sheets. Make sure your players have them. You got to have them. And hopefully by this point you've addressed all the questions about stuff on the character sheets. If not, go over them one more time, especially if you're having a secondary, like a session 0 night and then a game night where, some people are going to need to be refreshed. You can also give everybody little cheat sheets. You can find them online. You can make them yourself, but it basically will have what actions that the characters can take, what the different actions, bonus actions, reactions, stuff like that. The different actual things that you can do on your turn or sometimes not on your turn. It's good to have a couple of wild shapes on hand if you've got a druid. Some common summon stuff for your conjurer type people, familiar for people with familiars, companions, all those little side stat blocks that you're going to need, you're going to need at some point. It's good to just have them on hand.
Yeah. And you'll know that going in, ideally.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just having that stuff available just to make things a little bit faster, a little bit easier. Obviously there's ways to do this in person. There's also ways to do it digitally and just have a shared document in a, if you're on Discord, you can pin it. If you're on Roll20 or something or Foundry, then there's ways to keep documents in little places. So all different ways to just have little cheat sheets available of what is holding your turn or holding your action or, you know what I mean? Like something dumb like that or maybe a thing of the conditions of stunned and poisoned and that. You know what I mean? There's so many little tiny cheat sheets that it's totally actually helpful that the players would have access to. It's a lot of the stuff that would be on the DM's screen. You know how sometimes DM screens have printed on them all these little cheat sheet things? Why don't the players get that?
Yeah.
There you go. I also put on here icebreakers because I'm a sucker for icebreakers. My RA experience in college has infected my brain and I'm obsessed with icebreakers. I don't think you should start the game the second everyone arrives. I think you should transition into the game. I'm a big fan of that. We are, even with our actual play recordings, we always try at least to sign on 30 minutes early just to kind of vibe beforehand. Not to mention it helps me with scheduling because it's I have to be ready at 30 minutes before. So it gives me that a 30-minute of built-in cushion of making sure I'm prepared and have all my little tech things set up. I love that. And then you could segue into some icebreaker questions if you're interested, if that's your vibe. If it feels inauthentic and unnatural, don't worry about it. But I'm a big fan. An example would be, hey, what's everyone's favorite and least favorite fruit or pizza topping or candy? And then you transition. You switch it on them and you go, now what's your character's favorite pizza topping, candy or fruit, or least favorite or whatever, and it's just a dumb, fun way to get the players thinking about their characters, and thinking about their characters is a good transition into playing their characters. Now we're here, we're in the world, we're doing it, we're rolling dice, we're having fun. We didn't talk about dice, but I do think you got to have some way to roll dice. Obviously, we're playing D&D. Yeah. Ideally, perfect world, everyone has their own set of dice.
Ideally.
But there are free dice rolling things on the internet. You can even just Google. If you just go to Google and type in roll
if you're doing it
5d8, and it does it right on Google. So there's a million different ways you could do it. It's not as fun. A lot of the virtual tabletops have digital dice. Sometimes it is very helpful for new players, I will say.
Right.
The accessibility is huge. They don't have to worry about all the math. However, sometimes I think you're not really learning the system as well, or the mechanics, when you're depending on just being like, oh, I just click a button, upcast the spell, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, 5d8 just rolled across the screen, and this is how much damage I do. And it's like totally fine. There's an accessibility conversation there that's huge. I'm just saying you are kind of not learning all of it.
But yeah.
Now, when you're playing the game, they're learning all this new stuff. That can be overwhelming. I imagine it's been a fucking minute since I've learned something brand new like this, especially in a group environment. It can be really vulnerable. Right? Like, not only depending on if you're the whole table's new, that's different, but like you're also learning a skill while people are watching you, which is crazy. Like when it's your turn in combat, all eyes are on you, so to speak. That can be a lot to handle. So make sure to see how your players are doing. Take breaks, check in, communication. How many times do we have to freaking say it? Are we not communicating enough? Is that why we have to keep mentioning communication? The other thing is I think it's important to have breaks in your games. Like, I fall into this trap a lot because of the nature of our particular home game, where because it's audio only and it's very lax, I never do a break because I just assume that people are just going to take breaks whenever they want, and just mute themselves and just go, and we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like you don't even have to tell us. I mean, you could put it in the Discord, just like type it in and be like BRB, but like whatever. But then sometimes people will be like, hey, can we take a break in like 10 minutes? And it's like genuinely people are like, oh, I want to go to the bathroom, but like I also want to disconnect for like 5 minutes.
It is nice to disconnect a little bit.
I want to stretch. Yeah. And I want a little bit more of an established group break.
Right.
And that is nice. And it should happen more often. I think it's good to stretch, to hydrate, to grab some snacks, to bio break. You gotta, hey, if nature's calling, pick up the freaking phone. Okay. I can't tell you the work I've put my bladder through with these fucking games.
I agree. Especially the actual place where we have to stay seated in front of the camera. Oh, boy.
I know. I've been thinking about doing a little standing desk action. Seeing what I'm curious about what that would be like. I don't think I could do it for the whole game.
Yeah.
What if I did it for a little bit of the game? Like, what if I kind of just wait? I'm gonna mute my mic so that I don't think it'll be that loud. It's pretty quiet. Just like, what if? Do you know what I mean? What if you just kind of like kept going?
This is not going to go over well on the podcast, but
no, it's good. They'll get it. As the microphone slowly leaves my stratosphere and goes further away from my mouth, you'll get.
Justin got a new desk and
desk.
It goes up and down so they can stand if they need to, and
now I'm standing. Can't you tell the difference?
So funny. So just watching the camera, watching you slowly pan out of the camera was so good.
We should record like every other episode, and that'll just be another Patreon thing. Gang, speaking of the Patreon, I'm so glad I brought it up. Go check us out on the Patreon, patreon.com/ /SoYouWannaBeADM, I think is the URL, but guess what? Don't worry. It's in the description. And there's so many cool things that we put there. I just put out an incredible PDF that's free to everybody who's a member. And it's the Oath of Self-Discovery Paladin. I finished my version of the Oath of Self-Discovery Paladin. I'm working on one other subclass, and then I'll do Taylor's version and make it into a cool little document. But it's amazing. It's out there. It's ready. It needs playtesters. We need your help, gang. This is a call to action. Go download the PDF for the Oath of Self-Discovery Paladin, playtest it, get back to us, and back to the show.
Yeah.
So we've taken our bio break. We've taken our snacks. We've hydrated. Another thing I think is good for the game are some cliches. Knock them out right off the bat.
Yeah,
but I also find that some of these tropes from D&D games, I also think are educational. I think they incorporate a lot of mechanics in a way that is both fun and interesting, because you're kind of like nodding to it's very the way I do it, at least, it's very tongue in cheek of like, oh my god, there's a treasure chest and it's a mimic, ha ha ha, right. Like, yeah. But
it's almost a TTRPG rite of passage. Some of this stuff, the traditional unlocked door that they spend way too long looking at, you know, walking across 100%. Some kind of a spike trap thing in a dungeon. Got to do at least one dungeon crawl.
Swinging pendulums. All of that kind of stuff. Darts shooting out of things, rolling boulders, lots of skill checks, stealth checks, persuasion, perception, deception, you know, animal handling, like all the little things. Letting people use their proficient skills. Really, really nice.
Yeah.
Hey, start it in a tavern. Make sure there is a tavern. That's huge. Make sure that there's monsters. Make sure that there's magic. That's why they're playing this game, right?
Right.
Okay. And then now
you simply must stop.
Over, now that the game's over,
stop.
I don't know what you're talking about, and there's no record of it. So now that the game's over, there's a little bit of a thing that I think you should do with new players, and that's kind of a cool down, a little chit chat, post-session chat. There's a bunch of different ways to do that. There's some more like structured ways. For example, there's Stars and Wishes or Roses and Thorns, where you're kind of like, here are some stars. Here's some things that happened in the game that I fucking loved. You can highlight other players, other characters, NPCs, different moments. And then wishes are like, here's what I wish for next time. Here's what I hope happens with my character in terms of growth or adventuring or encounters or something. And that can be really, really good. Roses and Thorns, kind of similar. It's like, here's your rose is like a good thing, and then thorn would be kind of a critique. So just like something that the player would like to see differently, or maybe a part of the game that they were like, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of all of the traps or something, or like I wasn't a huge fan of the riddle. It took us too long. Whatever. I think it can feel clunky and it can feel a little silly being an adult and being like, all right, now we're going to do wishes and stars and everybody go around and everybody give one. It feels a little silly, and I admit that, but I think it is actually helpful, and it's a good way to get something out of everybody instead of just having people deflect to like, yeah, it was great. Thanks, man. Yeah, it was a good time. Had a great time. Yeah. And just being like, all right, I'm not really getting a ton from that. So I'm going to have to DM them anyway and be like, what do you want your character to do next?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything to add to that, to be perfectly honest. Like,
have you ever done anything like, I know we don't do that for our home game because we're all like friends and we just talk in the Discord anyway. But like, have you ever done any? I think we did it once.
We've done it for some of the
adults on kayaks.
Stuff. Yeah,
we did it once with adults on kayaks where we literally went through, and I think we did Stars and Wishes or something like that, where we were like hyping everybody up and talking about the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, my home table is very much like our home table in that we've known each other for years and more years, and like I would be talking to them the next day. So if something actually came up about the D&D story that they wanted to cover, I would just be talking to them the next day.
Yeah, that's so true.
But it is important to get the feedback because it does suck as a DM not getting any feedback simply because you don't know if they're enjoying it. And then there's a point where if your players are not happy, but they're not saying anything, you don't know what to change.
Yeah. How do you even know? I mean,
right.
And then you're in this weird complex of like, do I assume that they're not having a good time, or do I assume that they're having a great time because they're not saying anything, which may not be true.
Right.
And so then you're getting in your head and it's getting crazy. So yeah, I think all of that is super valid, and why there should be feedback in general, whether it happens right after the session or in between sessions, regardless, as long as it happens. Right. I also think it's nice to kind of, this is easier for some people and not even really fully necessary for others, but like just transitioning back out of your character and the setting and the world back into reality. Not in like a method acting Daniel Day-Lewis, Jared Leto kind of way, but more of a just kind of like character bleed is a thing. Like people will still be like very emotionally tied into their characters' actions and the experiences. So sometimes it'll be like, man, that thing still happened to my character and I'm still thinking about it. And so it's just like nice to be like, hey, chill, actually.
Yeah. No, it is good. I mean, depending on the table, I know Mythos, we had to do that quite a bit for season 2. Like there was a lot of emotions, especially a handful. There's a handful of episodes where we had to sit and decompress for 45 minutes afterwards, even after the action surge.
Yeah. There was definitely some moments that season got really intense at various moments throughout the season. Woof. Excited to keep seeing it going. That's a really good one. And then there is what to do between sessions. So we've done the pre-session stuff with session 0 and everything. We've done the session, and now we've already did kind of post-session, but that's like immediately post-session. Now what? Now what do we do before the next session and everything in between? I think it's just communication.
I do too.
It's all you can do. It's not you to constantly be bombarding this person, but like just having there be an open thing of dialogue, whatever your table uses. But
with my table, we also did a thing. There was a lot of times like because I was doing pre-written modules, there was not necessarily, there was like unscripted downtime in between some of the adventures, like maybe a day or two, not generally a whole lot of time in between, but I had an open Discord channel where people could choose to do downtime stuff, where they basically just come in and be like, okay, well, in downtime this time, I want to be going through the shops and looking for a new weapon or some kind of whatever. And then that stuff that you can get knocked out in between sessions that you don't necessarily have to take up time in the next session to do. Also, it gives you a chance for them to do some character stuff without feeling like they're having to take the spotlight away from the party. I did have one player who would do a lot of their character stuff in the Discord versus at the table in front of, like, with everybody at the table, because there's only so much amount of time and you don't want to be hogging up half a session with your character arc stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Speaking of which, I'm going to be messaging as we're recording this, my other D&D group, just to be like, hey guys, don't forget to send me all of those things you need to sell to send me a list of them. Bop.
Hilarious.
What's going on, dude?
I hope they realize that.
Crazy. I'll tell you what, man. Watch me bounce back in. I'm keeping this on added too.
There's that.
What is going on with my Discord, man? Anyway, I kept all that in the recording still. Let's keep going. So sure. I think it's important to keep in contact. That's the point. And
for sure.
It's just good to talk about feedback about the game and everything, but also just like character development stuff, having the player input things into the story. That could be anything, right? It could be like, hey, we're going to the town that your family's from. What are your parents like? You know what I mean? So there's just like a million things you could do. Yeah. But, that's what I'm thinking at least.
Yeah. There is a million things that you can do, a million different. But it's also good to just check in with the players individually, separately outside of the public eye, so to speak, just to make sure that everything's kosher, make sure that they're having a good time. Maybe there's some kind of a secret plot that they want to do with their character. There's a lot of times where you can kind of be like, okay, well, this is a secret I want to keep from the party for as long as I can, type of deal, or something along those lines.
Or even like you get ideas from them.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in talking to them about their character, their backstory, whatever, you'll think of ideas, and then you can choose to either tie that into maybe another character's backstory, and maybe they're connected slightly, or maybe it's connected to the plot or the setting. There's a million different things. I was just recently going through notes of one of my players from a different game, and like all we had gone over is that they had 5 siblings, and I was like, I don't even have their names. I know nothing about them. So I was like, which one of your siblings is the most likely to get in trouble? Not like evil trouble, just trouble.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, there's this one, and it's probably because of X, Y, and Z and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay. I'm going to use that. I'm using that. Okay. Guess who's behind on their student loan debts at the Wizard School in Waterdeep? Had to make some quick deals with some loan sharks or something. I don't know. Student loans out here. Tell me about it. And that's why when we think about student loans, we think about BetterHelp. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the sponsor. The sponsor, Big Tap Gang. It always is and always has been. Thank you so much, Big Tap.
Okay, that's all we can get into this time. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at SoYouWannaBeadm, or you can ask us a question at SoYouWannaBeadm@gmail.com. If you like the episode, don't forget to give us 5 stars and to review wherever you found us. And check out our Patreon, Twitch, and merch with the link in the description. Join us next time for more Dungeon Master tips and tricks.
Bye.
See ya.
And now, I have the honor of giving a shout out to the members of our Patreon gang. Numuffins, may Palor's light shine upon you. Marsavies, have you watered your flesh prison lately? And then there's Elijah, Molly, Tappy, and Linguini. Gang, we appreciate and love you. Tune in next time for more tips and tricks from So You Wanna Be a DM.